Hi everyone, in this lecture we are going to complete the creation of the entire layout of our website. So far what we have done is we completed all of the columns. Now let's just jump into the rows. So how many rows do we want in here? Now there is something that I told you when I was teaching you grid, and that was something about the height of our rows. We don't want to provide a specific fixed height for the rows. That is going to make responsiveness a lot difficult. And if you're asking yourself, okay, this instructor, this Muslim Hilali, he talks about responsiveness, and then he says, okay, you need to keep this in mind, and then you need to keep this in mind. There are like 100 things that I need to keep in mind in order to make my website responsive. And then I'm going to tell you that you are absolutely correct. There are more than 100 things that you need to keep in mind if you want to make your website responsive. That is how important responsiveness is, and that is how difficult it is going to be. So I'm just going to be honest with you. But if you just nail it once, if you just understand how things move on the web page, it is going to be extremely easy. You will be creating websites left and right, like 10 websites per day, and you're going to earn a lot of money creating websites, believe me. So let's just provide this right here. I'm just going to save that. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections, right? Now these sections, they're not stacked horizontally next to each other. They're stacked vertically. Actually, I think stacked is vertical. They're not sitting next to each other horizontally, but they're stacked vertically. So when we are talking about the vertical direction, we're actually talking about the number of rows that we have. Now, the number of rows that I will be specifying, because each of these sections, they need to move to their specific place within the layout. That is the good thing about the grid system. But for experimental purposes, I'm going to provide them with a fixed height so we can see where that section is. And later on, when we get to that section and we provide it with content, we are going to remove that fixed height. And just think of the fixed height as a placeholder for content, so we can actually see where our section is going to lie, so we can actually come up with a better way of making it more responsive. So we have 6. I'm going to say grid template rows. Now, the important thing when it comes to grid template rows is you should not provide a fixed height for your rows. Now, within the container, everything that we do, we try to keep it flexible. That fixed height that I told you, that was just a placeholder we are going to specify within each CSS selector for each section. For like hero section, the footer, or what was the other? The features, diversify. That is something that we are going to do within their respective sections. But within the container, we want to keep it clean. So I'm going to say min content. Now min content is going to provide us with the necessary space for the content. So we are not actually trying to fix any kind of height. We're just creating rows with no fixed height. The height of the row is going to be exactly the height of the content, regardless of any line breaks being created. That's why we say min content. Keep in mind, if you say max content, and if you have a paragraph that is like 10 lines, all those 10 lines, they're gonna be sitting next to each other horizontally, and your section is going to stretch beyond 2000 pixels. So that's not something that you want, right? So you're gonna say min content 6. That's it. I'm going to provide a background color for our container. I'm going to say color primary, and I'm going to save that. That's it. There we go. Here we are. We have our rows, we have our columns. The only thing left here is for us to go ahead and to place these sections within their respective places. But before diving into that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide some general styling for all of the anchor elements. All of the anchor elements, they have an underline, and I don't really like it, so I'm just going to remove it. Text decoration, none. And the color is going to be color quaternary. So it's var dash color quaternary. Now, within, there is one more thing for list items, that bullet point. I don't really like that as well. So I'm just going to remove it. Now, these are general styles because they're going to be applied on the entire web page. Now, the entire layout is created, but the placement of these sections is still remaining, which is something that we're going to cover in our next lecture. See you then.